Hi, I'm Amber.
And I'm Megan.
I am super excited to have a podcast.
I am over the moon excited to have a podcast. So welcome to the Pacific Northwest Homegirls Podcast. We're two girls from the Pacific Northwest in very different places in life who found an unexpected friendship and partner in this crazy thing we call real estate.
We believe the key to buying your first home is education, with lots of laughter and fun along the way. So listen in and join us on your home buying journey.
Today we're going to talk about renting versus buying. Which one's better? Which one's worse? Is one worse? Is one better? Or does it just depend on your situation?
Okay, before we talk about that, I want to talk about Freddie Home Tours.
Love Friday home tours.
So if you guys don't know, Megan and I do Friday Home Tours every week, which are super fun. We go in and look at somewhere between 3 to 10 houses Friday mornings.
They are a blast.
And while they are super fun, they're actually helpful for our job. So it helps us keep our pulse, or our finger on the pulse of the market.
Mm-hmm. Get a feel of what's out there, what's on the market, what houses are priced at. Like if we see a house that's really gross and nasty, we can look at that price versus one that's a similar square footage that's all cleaned up and nice, and what the differences in price are, so we can get a feel of what the market's doing.
Yeah, so that's exactly the way we go. We also started going when we very first started to start looking at features of homes to get an idea of what an old roof looked like versus a new roof.
Right.
Foundations, stuff like that. But I was thinking of a house that we went in the other day, and we had pulled up to the house. It's a beautiful house, like over $500,000 home. And we walked up, and the doors were open.
Right.
The contractor lockbox had been broken into, and so what did we do?
Ran away screaming because we were scared.
No. Like the brilliant agents we were.
We went into the house.
We went into the
when
house.
the door was open and the contractor box had been pried open and there was no key in there.
We were fine.
We didn't die. We made it. Nobody was in there.
Nobody was in there. Although every time I saw my reflection in the window, I was like, oh, who's that? Oh, it's just me.
Just me.
But I was thinking the other day, I was like, we should probably be smarter and not go into houses that doors are just sitting open.
Yeah, we probably should not have, but it was a really big house and we really wanted to see what it looked like inside, so it was worth risking our lives to do. It was a really cool house, and you go downstairs and there's this massive wine cellar in it with a giant K on the floor. I'm guessing the owner's last name started with a K. But it was really cool. It had all these big rocks along the walls and all these shelves
and
for wine.
Bottles of wine that had been cemented into the wall. Yeah,
right.
It was really cool.
It was beautiful.
So, buying a house versus renting a house.
Let's start off with renting. What are some of the pros of renting a house?
So when my husband and I first started renting a house right after we got married, I liked it because we could move every 6 months. A couple of years later, we were having babies and then having more babies, and we needed bigger apartments to live in.
So you just pack up and move.
Yeah, so it was super easy. You wait till your lease is up, or your lease is just about up, and then you pack up and move. No problems.
The other thing about renting is you don't have to do a lot of maintenance or yard work. You have a landlord that takes care of all those things for you. So if your dishwasher breaks, or if there's a leak in the roof, or the water heater dies, or something breaks in the house, they're going to be the ones to fix it and the ones to pay for it most likely. So you don't have to have those upfront costs if an emergency happens and something breaks. You're not out a couple $100,000 to
and
make a
it's
repair.
super nice. You call and be like, hey, this thing broke, and they're like, dang it, fix it.
I'm on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you also don't have to do a lot of yard work because typically, not in all cases, but typically rental properties have really small yards, or they're in very cookie cutter neighborhoods. So you have a very small yard, you don't have to mow this huge, massive 10-acre piece of land.
More often than not, you don't have a lot of outside maintenance and upkeep. So it's easier, you don't have the maintenance. That's a huge plus for renting. So cons of renting. One of the things I hated about renting is it was so hard for me to decorate. I could not paint walls. I didn't feel like I could put lots of holes in the wall to put picture frames up.
That would drive me up the wall crazy.
Yeah. And sometimes like the carpet is ugly or the wall color they have
You
chosen.
just have to deal with the ugly
Yeah.
carpet.
We had like bright blue carpet
Wow.
through the entire house.
Gotta love bright blue carpet.
So there are like for me that was one of the big reasons that I wanted to buy a house. Like I just wanted to be mine and put holes in the walls where
So
I
you
want
can
to.
make it your own, put your own little personality and pizzazz on it.
I think the biggest con in renting is that your money isn't working for you every month.
It is not. Your money is going towards paying off somebody else's mortgage. Your rent is paying off your landlord's mortgage for that house every month. It's doing nothing for you except providing you a place to live.
And
But
that
it's
is-
not.
that is an important step,
Which
but it's
is
not
something,
growing you something.
But your money is not working for you. So when you buy a house, that money goes towards your mortgage and you're investing it in your house, which is increasing in value and increasing your net worth. So according to the Federal Reserve, the average net worth of a renter, net worth is all of your assets minus all of your liabilities, or in other words, everything that you own minus everything that you owe, and ideally that number would be positive.
That sounds like a good way to go.
Right? So the average net worth of a renter is $5,200.
Really?
Yeah,
Jeez.
seems pretty low.
That's really low.
Yeah. The average net worth of a homeowner is $231,400. So most of that $231,000 is equity in your home. So that just shows that buying a home is a great investment, because when you're paying your mortgage, you're not just throwing that money out there and it's going down the toilet. It's going towards building your equity. So it's working for you.
Yeah, it's not just providing you a roof over your head month to month,
Mhm.
but it's a safe place for your money to grow.
Exactly. And rent oftentimes can be just as expensive, if not more, than owning a home. So your rent could be just as much as your mortgage payment. So why not have that money work for you?
Yeah, I have friends that live in this area that are renting, and they pay more in their rent every month than I pay on my mortgage. That's crazy to me.
That is crazy. All right, so let's talk about the cons of buying a house. Are there any cons? No. Just kidding.
Buying a house is a perfect scenario. Nothing bad ever happens.
Nothing bad ever happens when you buy a house.
The two biggest things for me when we were looking at buying our first home, I was super scared that we would buy it and then I would want to move soon, because we'd always done that renting. We didn't stay places very long. So I was so scared we would be stuck in this house and I would hate it and I would be stir crazy. I loved our first house. This was not a problem at all for me. But if you have a job or a lifestyle that you need to move around a lot, buying a house may not be the perfect scenario for you without having some kind of a tenant or something like that. It could still be a good investment. And you have to fix the stuff. Wah wah. When that water
Right.
heater breaks,
It's on you.
it's at the very least your expense to pay for if you can't fix it yourself.
But as long as you have an emergency fund set in place, as long as you have a maintenance fund in place, and you're putting a little bit towards these unexpected, or these, like, you know that your water heater is going to break eventually.
Right.
It's not going to last forever. So as long as you're putting money aside every month for these expected emergencies, you're going to be fine.
I think for a lot of people, that's an unexpected expense. You're not setting aside money as a renter for like fixing up the house. You may be putting money aside for vacation or car payments or things like that, but it's a new thing you have to budget
Right.
for when you're buying a house, is setting that fix it house fund aside every month.
Right, because it may seem like an emergency at the time because you don't know when your water heater is going to break, but you do know it's going to happen eventually. So
Right.
just being prepared for that, just another expense that you need to think about and plan for when buying a house.
So the best parts of buying a house,
Yay, my
I
favorite.
mean, obviously it's yours. So
You can
done
make
deal.
it your own, it's yours, you can paint the walls, you can rip out a wall, you can add a wall, you can do whatever you want with it.
And for us, like, that's huge. Both
Like my
Megan
heaven.
and I love DIY. I mean, we both have so many Pinterest boards dedicated to house projects. So I also felt so freed when we bought our first house. There was no landlord that was driving by to see if the lawn was mowed at the correct height or doing yearly check-ins to see that we were maintaining the house in the proper way. Like we just did what we wanted and we lived our life.
Right? Yeah.
Like that was super freeing. And
there's a pride in ownership too. When you own your own house, you're gonna take care of it a bit better. You're gonna maintain it because it's yours. It's your space. You own that. You're proud to own that. Whereas if you're renting, you're just like, oh, it's someone else's house. I spilled on the carpet. It's fine.
Yeah, like I need to keep it up the best I can, but whatever. Yeah, but it's such a freeing experience. So the number one reason to buy a house in the pro category is,
I think for me is, well, there's two. That you get to be creative with it and make it your own.
right?
And the other is that it is one of the best ways to build wealth. I mean, a home is just an incredible investment. Yes, the market does have some ups and downs and dips, but even if you buy in the height of the market, at the very top of the market, the most expensive the market is at the time, and then you wait it out, even if it goes down after you buy it. If you wait it out a couple years until the market comes back up and above what you bought it for, you're going to be just fine. The 2008 housing crisis, probably you've heard of, when the market crashed.
Yeah.
House prices plummeted in 2008, and 12 years later, the house prices are already way above what they were at the height of the market in 2008. So if you bought in 2008 and you just stuck onto it for 10, 12 years, you can sell it now and still make a profit on it.
And a huge profit at that. If you hold on to a house for 10 to 12 years, think of the equity that you have built making that monthly payment and taking that loan and interest rate down every month. So not only is your house worth more now than it was in 2007, you've also built a lot of equity. So that lump sum that you're getting when you sell your house is going to be so much bigger. Buying a house is one of the safest places to put your money.
Exactly.
It's always going to make you a profit. It could be 3 years from now when you want to move. It might need to be 10 years depending on when you invest. But the market's always going to take an upswing.
Right. The market, the general trend is up. It goes up and down a little bit. It fluctuates here and there. But the general trend is going up. In addition to just buying one house and making a profit on that, you can buy one house, live in it for a couple years, fix it up, make it what you want, and then hold on to it, buy another house, keep your first house as a rental, have that income coming in, that ideally the rental payment is more than your mortgage payment, and so you're making a profit on that every month.
Rent is higher than mortgages.
Exactly. And then you just keep doing that, live in that next house for a couple years, rent it out, buy your third house, and then keep going on and on. And pretty soon you have this huge rental portfolio that's bringing you income every month. And then when you're ready to retire, you can sell those houses, and that can be your retirement plan, is selling that inventory, or you can pass it on to your children or your grandchildren and build a legacy for them and provide them a life that they.
This is a great way to build generational wealth. Yeah, if you can get a good starter home, and then when you start to grow that home, be ready to buy a second home and rent out the first. Right there, you're building wealth for your future family.
Exactly, and it's not just you at that point; it's other people involved that you're wanting to help down the line.
Or you could sell all your stuff and waste it all in retirement. We won't judge.
And buy a big boat or something.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do is
But
fine.
you can build wealth. That's what we're telling you. So overall, I think there's more pros to buying a house.
For sure, 125 million %. There are more pros to buying a house than to not buying a house.
So if you have any questions about how to get started in buying a house or how to get that process going, reach out to us.
If you have any questions, if you're just starting that journey, you don't know where to start, don't know what the first step is, reach out to Amber or me. You can find our information on amberbowles.com, meganharn.com. Reach out to us on Instagram and Amber L. Bowles Realty or at Megan Harn Real Estate, and we'd be happy to walk you through that process, work with you if you're in the Puget Sound area, or if you want to be connected with a local agent in whatever city or state you are in. We have connections all across the country, and we'll set you up with a couple amazing agents that will fit your needs. So what is the biggest pro for you about buying a house?
I mean, I feel like I should say the wealth you can build, but it's really being able to decorate and DIY and have it
that's
be my
the
house.
fun part, honestly. That's the most fun. So, on to the next segment of our podcast episode is we are going to do a game. So, I have a game for Amber that she's going to have to answer a couple questions. So, I found this article on the Google titled 20 paint colors that could double as baby names. So, there were these wacky paint colors that I would never name my child any one of these names. But they're paint colors, and apparently somebody thought that it would be a good idea to name their child one of these. I have a couple of the paint names on this list, and I chose one random word that's not a paint color and not a name that Amber's gonna have to figure out which one is the non-paint color / baby name. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so which one is not a paint color / baby name? A, Mizzle. B, Raimi. C, Selkie. D, Tallow. Or E, Kaluna.
What was the first one?
Mizzle.
Mizzle? That cannot be a real baby name.
So we got Mizzle, Raimi,
Raimi's a name.
Selkie,
I think that's a name too.
Tallow,
Definitely a kid's name.
and Kaluna.
I think I've heard of that as a kid's name.
Okay, so you're going with Mizzle?
Yeah.
No! Mizzle is a paint color. So
That cannot double as a kid's name. It could totally be a paint color, but it cannot
Actually,
double as a kid's
you know,
name.
I was thinking if I had to name my kid any one of these, it would be Mizzle.
No.
I think it's cute.
That's hilarious.
So Mizzle is actually a light, soft, sage green color. Raimi is a light beige color.
Oh, it should be like gray, like rainy colors.
Kaluna is a gray.
Oh, I like that one. That's why I like it.
Tallow is a yellow beige color. And the non-paint color is Selkie.
That sounds like it would be a name though.
That's exactly why I picked it. So, do you know what Selkie actually means?
What?
So Selkie is a Scottish mythical creature that is like a mermaid, but instead of...
Is it the seal one where they
It
can take
is.
their seal
Yes.
skin off?
So it's a half
Oh.
seal, half human.
So I knew the word, I just wasn't putting it in the right context. Thanks for listening to our podcast, you guys. We have so much fun recording these. We hope you are having just as much fun listening. Check out our full segment every Monday and a little mini clip on Thursdays.
And if you want to see more of us, make sure to check us out on social media at Megan Harn Real Estate, meganharn.com, and at Amber L. Bowles Realty and amberbowles.com. And always, if you have any questions, please comment to us on any of our social channels or here in this podcast.